Dear audience, do subscribe to this channel and click on the notification bell so that you will be first notified whenever I have uploaded a new video. Dear audience, in my last video, I talked about how to understand the glucose path of life. Let's recap the key logical questions. Number one, what is glucose? What are the sources of glucose? And which parts of our bodies need glucose? Question number two, must glucose come from external source? Can our bodies make glucose? Question number three, what if we continue the glucose path of life? Question number four, can our bodies survive well without glucose? And what are the pros and cons? Number five, what are the common confusions about glucose? In the last video, I had answered the question 1 and 2. In this video, I will cover the question 3 and 4. Let's begin the reflection process with logical thinking. To recap, in the last video, I had covered these topics. Number one, what is glucose? Number two, what is the source of glucose? Number three, which parts of our bodies must take glucose as the fuel? Number four, must the glucose come from the external source? Can our bodies make glucose? The answer for the first part was no. We don't have to count on the external source to get glucose. The answer for the second part was yes, our bodies can make glucose. Now, in this video, we continue by answering the question, what if we choose to continue the glucose path of life? We need to know the possible damages could happen to our bodies, our health. The logic is, in the last video, we have learned that our bodies can make glucose and we don't need a lot of glucose. Therefore, we can survive very well without taking sugars or glucose from the external source. Let's focus on the question, what if we choose to continue the glucose path of life? When we talk about how carbohydrates and sugar could damage our bodies or our health, we need to talk about these two aspects. The aspect number one is glucose because it affects our blood. Aspect number two, we need to talk about fructose because it affects our liver. You know how important blood is to our body, and you know how important the liver is to our body. Liver literally is the chemical factory in our body. Let's recap the basic of carbohydrates and sugar. Do you still remember? Carbohydrates become glucose in our bodies, and sugar become fructose and glucose in our bodies. We had not elaborated fructose in the previous video. Now I want to highlight that in a nutshell, fructose will not go into the bloodstream. It will remain in the liver because liver is the only tissue can metabolize fructose. Therefore, when we take too much sugar, fructose will jam up in the liver and cause damages by converting it into fatty acid, becoming fatty liver. Let's get back to the glucose. The problem is the blood sugar. Blood sugar level in human bodies is very narrow. Ideally, if we are on low-carb diets, the range should be between 70 mg/dl to 110 mg/dl. What happens when we take sugar and the processed food? Our blood sugar will fluctuate. Look at this diagram. We want to maintain within the two lines by taking low-carb diets. Do you see how fluctuate we are if we take sugar and processed food? As a result of the sugar fluctuation like a roller coaster, we will have insulin problem. Here is a scenario. When the sugar in our blood is too high, we need a lot of insulin to bring it down. But then when we have too much insulin in our blood, we will have hyperinsulinemia. Then when the too much insulin bring the glucose down too low, we will have hypoglycemia. Under this condition, we have very unstable energy. We have high energy this minute, and we have low energy next minute. Our mood at the same time will swing together with the energy level. As a result, we will have craving and hunger. It is the sugar makes us feel hungry. Now we need to understand what is insulin, what is insulin resistance, and what are the impacts or damages caused by the insulin resistance.
Insulin helps sugar move from your blood into your cells. Insulin is a hormone that is made by beta cells in your pancreas. Cells in your body need sugar for energy. Sugar from food makes your blood sugar levels go up if it cannot get into the cells. Insulin made by beta cells lowers your blood sugar levels by helping sugar move from your blood into your cells.
To recap in layman's term, insulin is a carrier. The purpose and the function is to take the extra sugar from the blood and store it into the cells.
Now, what is insulin resistance? Basically, your cells are rejecting insulin, okay? They're no longer absorbing insulin anymore. What causes this? Chronic exposure to insulin. Now, if we take it back a little bit further, what would cause high levels of insulin is basically high carbohydrate diets, chronic eating, like infrequent eating, as in eating 6 times a day with all the snacks and everything, will cause this. And cortisol will increase the production of insulin because with cortisol, which is a stress hormone, it actually breaks down protein and it stimulates insulin. And a lot of the damage from high levels of cortisol is really high levels of insulin. So high cortisol eventually causes insulin resistance itself. Now, if we look at insulin like a key, okay, which has a function of allowing fuel to enter the cell to regulate blood sugars. It's a master whole body glucose control, okay? And it also controls amino acid absorption into the cells, as well as other nutrients in the cell. Now, what happens when you have insulin resistance, okay, you have one part of the body that's not getting insulin, okay? So there's a feedback loop that comes around that causes your pancreas to make massive amounts of insulin. So when you have insulin resistance, you have a combination between insulin deficiency and a massive spike in insulin in certain other parts of the body. The massive spike of insulin causes stuff like fatty liver and obesity, but the deficiency of insulin also creates problems, especially in your brain, because insulin, believe it or not, is an anti-inflammatory hormone. So when you have insulin resistance, you have certain parts of your body that don't get enough insulin. You start getting inflammation. So a lot of the inflammation that occurs with this is really occurring because of a deficiency of insulin in certain parts of your body. I mean, let's just take the brain, for example. When you have Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, there's something very unique about these two right here. In your nerve cells, you will see a severe deficiency of glucose in the cell. Why? Because there's not enough insulin because of insulin resistance to allow fuel to go into the nerve cells, okay, and they die.
To recap in layman's term, Insulin resistance is the condition when the cells refuse to let glucose get in. The glucose cannot get into the cells and cannot store glucose into the cells.
Recently, I was reading this book in my spare time called Insulin Resistance. This is a textbook, okay? All the research on insulin resistance. Most health problems, most common health problems, diseases and symptoms are directly caused by insulin resistance. Yet, we are treating every single one of these conditions with a separate drug as if they are some separate problem and disease. I mean, check this out. Insulin resistance directly causes metabolic syndrome, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, triglycerides, belly fat, a fatty liver, diabetes, okay? And having diabetes causes kidney damage and kidney failure eventually, peripheral neuropathy, all sorts of neurological problems, including problems with dementia in the brain, heart problems, eye problems, cataracts, glaucoma, retinopathy, all sorts of problems with the eye. And then the heart, we have clotting occurs because of this. That's what leads to strokes, okay? Plaquing, arrhythmias, atrial fib, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, the type of cholesterol that's sticky that forms a plaque, and high blood pressure. And then we have all the inflammatory conditions of your joints, arthritis, bursitis, tendinitis, rheumatoid, osteo, autoimmune conditions. It's the inflammation that causes the damage. And then we have inflammation inside the artery, which then leads to the plaquing. We have inflammation that occurs in the digestive tract, Crohn's, diverticulitis, irritable bowel syndrome, inflammation that then causes fibrosis or scarring or cirrhosis in your liver. Then we have all the problems in the brain, Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, seizures, cognitive issues like brain fog, forgetfulness, lack of focus, lack of concentration. And then we have PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is high level of androgens in a female body. Normally, females should not have high levels of androgen. What does that create? Facial hair, body hair, loss of hair on your head, deeper voice, belly fat, and the list goes on and on. But in a male body, insulin resistance will decrease testosterone, okay, and increase estrogen. So we have this opposite effect where insulin resistance in a female body causes high androgens, and in a male body will decrease androgens. And then there's a whole list of additional side effects from this alone, okay? And when we have insulin resistance, we're usually a pre-diabetic, where we have high levels of sugar. And yes, cancer lives on sugar. And not to mention obesity, okay? Insulin resistance is a primary driver of obesity. Why? Because the hormone insulin is the main fat storage hormone.
To recap in layman's term, the message of insulin resistance is the root cause of the vicious cycles for all diseases. The number one sign of insulin resistance is putting on weight. We will talk about it in another video. The second aspect we need to talk about is the fructose. Although fructose does not affect our blood sugar, it is the stress on the liver. It becomes a huge burden to the liver because liver is the only tissue can metabolize fructose. All fructose pass through the liver, convert into glucose, then convert into fatty acid. If you take too much sugar, you will end up getting non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, insulin resistance, or type 2 diabetes. When all this happened, your liver is clogged. Your blood sugar is in roller coaster. You have double whammy. Besides, you will trigger all kinds of metabolic issues and eventually get hypertension. Then you will also get cardiovascular disease. As a result, this double whammy will affect a bunch of other things. For example, your digestive tract. Starting from the cavities, you will have cavities if you take too much sugar. Sugar will cause absorption deficiency. More importantly, sugar feeds all the bad microbes in your guts. This is dysbiosis. It causes a war zone in your guts. As a result, you will have leaky guts. That means the bigger stuff, the stuff not supposed to get through, they got through. This will cause food allergies and set you up for autoimmunity, all because of glucose and fructose. Further than this, sugar affects your hormonal system, the endocrine system. Insulin is the most powerful hormone in our body. It has the tendency to dominate all the hormones. Hormones determine everything and anything in our bodies, such as hunger, satiety, sleep cycle, metabolism, etc. When you have insulin resistance, it is like having a hammer slash the entire hormone system down. It literally wipes off and flattens all the hormone systems. Therefore, you will have hormones imbalance. If that happens, the first thing you should consider is to stop taking sugar, stop consuming sugar. Stop the insulin issue first before looking into other measures or other problems. Pituitary gland. In a nutshell, sugar will prevent it to respond in the way it should be. As a result, you will get hypothyroid, adrenal fatigue, polycystic ovarian as a result of insulin resistance, masculinization. That means female start developing male traits. Also, femininization. This is the reverse. The male start developing the traits of female. At the end, the grandpa and the grandma might look the same. Suggestion for action plan is stop eating carbohydrates and sugar. Look at all these diseases and problems. The vicious cycle is sugar and carbohydrates. If you stop eating carbohydrates and sugar, you will have the chance to revert all these problems, all these diseases. In conclusion, just say no to carbohydrates and sugar. You will be free from all these diseases and you will have good health. The good news is you will not struggle to lose weight. When you stop eating carbohydrates and sugar, you will lose weight naturally and stay healthy. I eat a lot. I eat until my stomach full and until I am satisfied. Except that I don't eat carbohydrates and sugar. I don't have to worry about putting on weight. And I don't have hunger. The sense of hunger comes from sugar. That means when you have the sense of hunger, it does not mean your body is running out of fuel. Till this point, you are smart enough to see my point. Just stop eating carbohydrates and sugar. Everything will be fine. You don't need carbohydrates and sugar in order to have the supply of glucose, in order to have the supply of glucose to your body. My purpose is to create awareness by making you see the facts and logic in layman's terms. When you understand better, you will become more aware of what you need to do, or you will have increasing interest to know more in order to stay healthy. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you in my next video. Dear audience, if you enjoy this video, do subscribe to this channel and click on the notification bell so that you will be first notified whenever I have uploaded a new video. I am a certified professional coach and an HRDF certified trainer. I am promoting reflection process with logical thinking to gain clarity. Thank you for watching this video. See you in my next video. Dear audience, if you enjoy this video, do subscribe to this channel and click on the notification bell so that you will be first notified whenever I have uploaded a new video. I am a certified professional coach and an HRDF certified trainer. I am promoting reflection process with logical thinking to gain clarity. Thank you for watching this video. See you in my next video.